Today's video, we're going to talk about Google Ads not converting into leads or sales? Question. Here's the most common reasons why your traffic on Google Ads that you're paying sweet dollars for is not converting into sales so that you can actually scale a campaign that's profitable and grow your business. Okay, which is basically what your goal always should be. You should always know what your numbers need to be. I need X dollar of sales or X dollar per lead to make money enough from this ad spend to spend more or make a profit so I can consistently spend more and get to eventually where I'm making millions of dollars a year running Google Ads for my business because I'm recycling the profit that I'm making back into additional ad spend. Okay, but you're never going to get there if you don't understand what gets the traffic to not convert. And some of it has to do with the campaigns, some of it has to do with your website of some sort. But it certainly does help to know in that situation which one it is. What I've done on this video is I've put it down to the 5 most common reasons why it's not converting for you for e-commerce businesses and then non-e-commerce where you're doing lead generation. I went through both of these, the top 5 reasons for each. Okay, so if you are in that situation where your traffic isn't converting, or maybe it is converting and you're not quite sure if it's converting well enough or, ultimately it should be converting better, I will talk about that in today's video as well. But before I get into the content here, if you do not know who I am Corey Zyman, owner of Guaranteed PPC, an online advertising agency that specializes in guaranteeing results for their clients. That is, we do not charge our clients management fees until we get them a certain minimum lift in their profitability up front, in excess of the management fees that we ultimately charge. We are the only agency out there doing anything like this, which should tell you something about the quality of the information that you're receiving on today's video. So with that said, getting into the content here. So what I've got here, as I mentioned, is the top 5 reasons why your traffic from your Google Ads account is not converting. And we're talking about search ads here. I will say this, pretty much the same thing applies for display campaigns, YouTube campaigns, and the like. And I'll talk about those a little bit in this video as well. I have the top 5 reasons for non-e-commerce and then also e-commerce businesses, like I said I would cover. But on top of that, I also got these ranked in descending order. So the stuff that is the most common that I see at our firm where we've got 50 clients at any given time and I'm doing the strategy on all the client accounts, what I'm seeing why the traffic's not converting for them, and I've been doing this for over a decade now, by the way. What's not converting for them, I put it in order of most common to second most common to third most common and so on and so forth down the line. If you have this problem and you're not sure what to do or don't spot it right away as I'm going through this list, certainly start with the stuff on the top of this list and then work your way down because that's going to get you the problem fixed statistically in the most quick manner possible. With that said, getting into it here. So for e-commerce businesses specifically, all right, the most common reason why your traffic coming from your Google Ads campaigns is not working, search campaigns, or display or YouTube campaigns and the like as well to go along with it, is because you're selling a commodity item and it's not cheap enough, okay? A lot of you guys get into business. So I've talked about before how ultimately if you're going to try to make money with running ads, you can actually start with any old product that anybody can sell, maybe even doing drop shipping. It's easy to get into business, but it's going to take a lot longer and a lot more money up front to spend on your ads to get your ads in a position where your campaign's profitable, selling something 15 other people are selling already. Versus finding something that nobody could sell, you almost have to spend no ad money before your ads are profitable. Either way, you're going to be spending a few, probably tens of thousands of dollars either in ad spend or product development in order to get your business started. If it were only easy to spend $1,000 and have a business going already, everybody would do it. It does happen, namely when you basically just nobody has had the idea you have and it's a genius idea, but usually not. So if you're on the side of things where you're going to sell like a commodity, hey, I'm going to sell a printer toner, but so does 100 people on Google, okay? You got to expect it's going to take a lot of seed money spent on your campaigns in order to get your campaigns working. But along with that, more important than that is the price in which you're selling it at. You can have the best campaigns in the world, but if you sell your printer toner for twice as much as what the median or average person selling it for on Google Ads that are showing up next to you, your ads are just never going to make money. Why? Because people can quickly, they'll use your site, certainly, they're typing in buy HP 1287 printer toner, right? They're going to your webpage, they see it's for sale. They are serious buyers. But too many people are going to get to your website, take note of the price, they're going to check around a couple other places, they're going to see it's cheaper, and they're going to buy from them. And even though you will get some sales, the conversion rate you get will be poor enough to where you can't make a profit after considering your product cost, your ad cost, and so on and so forth, so that you can actually get to the next level with your business, which is you're making at least a little profit, reinvest that profit into more ad spend, and then keep going up and up and up. This obviously doesn't apply to non-commodity businesses. Having the cheapest price is certainly not the best route to go, ever for that matter, unless you're selling a commodity item. If you're selling a Sony XJ12 TV, people, when they buy that type of product, they're just going to go to the cheapest one most of the time and buy that. Because it's easy to do cross comparison between your item that's selling on your website and another website. When you're selling pottery making equipment, it's not so easy to tell the difference between one piece of equipment and another at a different price point. And you could sell your product at 50% more money than anybody else. As long as your website looks better than other people, you have better conversion tracking on your campaigns and so forth, which I'm going to talk about here in a minute. Know that if your product is literally like an interchangeable product, it's literally identical to what other people are selling, you either have to sell it cheaper than anybody else or you have to find something else to sell. Not to say too many people sell commodity items, but if you have a commodity item, you're going to have to sell it cheaper than anybody else or you're wasting your time. And for that matter, if you want to go along with it, to make Google Ads work, you're going to have at least a 30% product margin, meaning the cost of whatever you're selling can't be more than 70% of what you're charging and still be charging similar to what everybody else is charging or whatnot. Otherwise, you're not going to make money, because if you don't have the margin, you're not going to have enough money to spend on ads to get the sales. And ultimately, most businesses that are successful at least have a 40% product margin, meaning they no more than 60% of the cost of the product, no more than 60% of what they're selling it for has to go to buy that product. And ideally, anymore, due to the cost of the traffic, the product cost is only 40% of what you're selling it for if you really want to make Google Ads work. And you have to usually be the manufacturer of the product to make that happen. But I'm just letting you know, in addition to having to sell the cheapest, be the cheapest guy if you're selling a commodity item, you also have to have the margins that are left over at the end of that. 10% margin ain't going to cut it. You're not going to make any money doing that. So that's number one. Number two is not enough high quality picture or video content. So I'm making a prediction right now that over the next 10 years, going into 2035, the businesses that understand, e-commerce businesses that understand that making money with e-commerce isn't simply going to be about throwing a picture of a product there and a little bit of text. That's not going to cut it unless you're selling something nobody else can do. And the people that really thrive and make all the money and basically every niche out there is going to understand video content's needed, reasonable amount of it, but at least some for every product you're selling, because people don't trust what companies are saying anymore. They don't trust reviews anymore by themselves because everybody has good reviews. The differentiator nowadays is I want to see the owner talk about this product in detail, demonstrate it, talk about the differences between it and the competitor's product, and so on and so forth. And I don't want to see just one picture. I want to see 5 or 10 pictures, and I want to see the product, out in the wild. I want to see it on somebody. I want to see it from 4 different angles, on and on. And ideally, you need both of these things if your ads are truly going to work, okay? And so if you're not going to do that, slowly you're just going to get phased out because somebody's going to step up to the plate and understand what I know about internet marketing now, which is the brands that are going to excel are going to have YouTube channels where they're going to review their products, and those reviews are going to go on the product pages of their website. The video reviews that they do are going to rank well in YouTube search and on Google search, because they do. If you've searched around on Google recently, you always see videos ranking nowadays. Those rankings are going to come so easily and then drive traffic to the product pages, and they're going to make a bunch of money because they're getting all that free traffic because it's easier to rank a video than it is to rank a website now. And then because the conversion rate's so high, they're going to be able to throw ad traffic at those product pages and actually get it to pay. Versus the guy who doesn't do any video content, he has this major disadvantage going against him versus the guy that has done the video content. And at the very least, you're going to need super high quality photos and multiple of them, but more so, video is just going to be a requirement to actually make money with e-commerce. And you may say, well, I've got 10,000 items. I can't possibly afford to make video for all my items. The reality is you cut down what you're selling to 50 items then, and you make video content and you merchandise those items better by taking better photos, better video of it, because that's what's going to be required to actually make money. It's just as important as having good customer service, sales support, so that if you sell something that is over $100, that you be able to answer the phone, and the person answering the phone has product knowledge. They're not just some ditzy secretary that says, oh, that's nice, you should buy the product. They actually could consult you all the way through a sale to understand the consumer's needs and place them on that product that suits them. It's just as important as that. But people get that, and that's been a requirement now for over the last 10 years. You've had to be able to do good phone sales to compete with Amazon and everything else. The next 10 years, it's going to be good video content to go along with it. So that's the second reason why that I see e-commerce sites not convert itself. And to the point where in some markets, like in cosmetics, you got to send them to a whole separate landing page, which if they get all the way through the landing page, so they click through that landing page and then they go to the product page on the site, because that's what's required to get the traffic to convert. And I tell people that time to time when they come to our agency, they say, Corey, I want an audit. I want to know why this doesn't convert. I tell them that it's not what they want to hear. And then they just go to somebody else ultimately and ask them why their stuff doesn't convert. And they're going to tell them what they want in order to get their business, which is, oh, your campaigns need tweaked. No, your damn website needs to be upgraded to give more information, namely in terms of video content. Otherwise, you're not going to make it work. And ideally for a cosmetic product, it's video also from influencers who review your product, also video content, either celebrities or where the news has brought you on to talk about your product to show how good it is, which you can pay news stations $5, $10K to bring you on their show and talk about your product. It's not that expensive to do. That is for, businesses that are already going. And you put that video content on the page and it adds massive credibility to your company and your products. Whereas your competitors don't have that, you're just going to clean up. And that's more so what I'm talking about. So, and with that, the less trust your product category has, like a skin cream has very little trust versus a replacement part for this industrial machine. You don't need as much trust. So the more trust you need, the more the video content's going to matter, the more and better video you're going to need to really stand out in the market that you're in. If you are the only one doing what you're doing, then you don't need it. But if your stuff's not converting, that's the easiest way really to fix the situation. Make more video, better quality video, put it on your product pages, along with some additional video, but photos, but mostly video, because that's what really stands out in today's market. Number 3, the description on your product pages is written without good sales copywriting principles. So if you use ChatGPT to write you a product description on your product pages, you're not going to be profitable with that anymore. You need to have an actual trained sales copywriter write the copy for your page if you aren't very good at it. And if you don't know if you're good at it, you need to ask a sales copywriter to evaluate it. And maybe they'll tell you what you want to hear, so you hire them again. But for the most part, good copywriting will tell the user what they're thinking about. If they're asking, the user's thinking to themselves, well, I don't know if it'll work for this situation or that. The copy has to address that. Also, it talks about the benefits. What is this going to do to benefit me? It's going to make my pottery that I'm making really stand out. It's going to be durable. And then it also describes why it's specifically better than other products in its category, addressing that. Which, by the way, the video content should address all these same things as well, because a lot of people don't want to read text. They want to see it on a video. And you put the video within the thumbnails next to the product photos so people can easily, along with the photos, see video. But with that said, some people are going to want to read text. Some people are going to want to see video. By default, most people are just going to read the product description. They're not going to go right for the video, which is why you need to have the text good, and you can't just rely on video by itself. But the video content really, really helps out, particularly as people get to the site, they're going to read the text. If the text is really good, they're going to go to the photos, see all the photos, see the video, watch the video, then they're sold. Number 4, logo/layout/design of the website's poor. You can have all the best video content to sell your products with the best copywriting in the description, but if your website overall looks like dog crap, you have a crappy looking logo, nobody's going to buy from you. I get a lot of guys who reach out to me at my firm as well asking why my site doesn't convert. specifically e-commerce sites, and I look at their logo, and it looked like it was made they paid $5 on Fiverr to put it together, and it's on a cheap template. You really expect people to give you their credit card information on a website that looks like it was made by a high schooler? Are you serious? I mean, seriously, would you buy from a website that looked like a high schooler put it together and give your credit card information out to them when they could go to Amazon and know they're not going to get their credit card information stolen? The money stolen in general, that is, you get no item shipped to you, or it's the wrong item, or it's a fake item, or whatever. That's your competition. You also got other competitors who likely have a better looking website than you. And so this is all relative. What I can tell you is it needs to be at least as good as your 80% of your competitors if you really want Google Ads to work, because you got to get a good ad rank with Google in order for Google to send you the high quality users that they know is most likely to convert. And you're only going to get that if your website is set up to convert. And for the most part, the layout's important, but more importantly for e-commerce, it's does the website overall as a whole look high end? Because they're going to judge a book by its cover. They're going to look at your website in 2 or 3 or 4 seconds. If it doesn't look high end enough, they don't trust you, they're leaving. Unless you have something that nobody else has and they really, really want it, then you can still get by with it. But for the most part, that ain't going to cut it. And for e-commerce businesses in markets where you can make a few $1,000,000 a year, your website that you paid $5,000 to put together ain't going to cut it, because your competition spent tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, to put it together right. And so it just ain't going to cut it. And your logo, you're going to have to spend at least a few thousand, probably 10, 20 grand to get a really, really, really trustworthy logo. Because guess what? The very first thing people, and this is proven by eye tracking studies, when they go to your site, the very first thing they're going to look at is your logo. And if your logo looks like you completely killed everything before it ever got started. So you've got to get the design style to be at a certain level, and then also the layout. If the layout of the website is confusing at all, you're already dead before you got started. Ideally, you don't have anything that they aren't expecting when they get to that product page on your site, or category page, or search results page. They're not going to ask any questions. They know where the information they normally would want is going to be at, and you don't get fancy with it. So that's number 4. Number 5 is mostly getting short tail traffic. Okay, so for e-commerce, unlike with lead generation stuff, it's harder to screw up the targeting with your ad campaigns on Google Ads, because you're running shopping campaigns and basically people can see the item before they click on it. So you're getting qualified traffic. And even if you're running search campaigns, it's a lot easier to run the search campaigns correctly than it is for lead generation campaigns, because with lead generation campaigns, you're showing up for competitor searches, where people are looking to ask the competitor company for an order status or job status or whatever, or they're showing up for people who are looking for information. Whereas in the e-commerce world, people usually aren't looking for information about items. They're looking to buy items. And so it's a lot harder to screw up. That's why it's last on my list here. Even though if you don't have the ad show up for the right people, none of this other stuff I just mentioned is going to matter. As it comes to showing up for the right people, a lot of people make a mistake of is they don't target long tail keyword searches exclusively, at least at the beginning and when their site's not converting. If you're selling the pottery equipment, what you need to do is target people that are searching for pottery equipment for sale. Buy pottery equipment, not pottery equipment, because most of the people searching for pottery equipment aren't looking to buy anything. They're looking for information, whatever. Whereas people typing in buy pottery equipment, 98% of those people are looking to buy. So that's what I mean by, short tail versus long tail. A more relevant example would be like, for instance, we sold, going back to the printer toner. Are you targeting someone looking for printer toner? Okay, it's not going to convert well enough. You're not going to make money. We know that because we've worked in that market before. You also aren't going to make any money targeting people looking for HP printer toner or Ryko printer toner. Why? Because people searching for that don't really know what they need enough to give you a high conversion rate that's going to make your ads pay for themselves. Where you start to get into profitability is when you target people looking for a specific printer toner for a specific model of printer. Those people know what they need. Ryko XJR printer toner. Or somebody looking for a specific part number. Printer toners have part numbers listed on the product. So a lot of times people are out of toner, they look at it, they see the part number on there, they Google it, and then those people also equally know what they need, or even more so. The average person who's starting out on Google Ads are going to try to target all these. They're going to set up a PMAX campaign or general campaign targeting people looking for any kind of printer toner, and you're dead. You're dead on arrival. Whereas what you need to do is get off your lazy butt and target people who are looking for very specific toners for very specific printers, and that is it. at least at the very beginning until you've maxed out everything you can do there, which is what most people don't want to do because they want to spend 15 minutes setting up their campaigns and expecting to get rich, become a millionaire with 15 minutes of work. And it doesn't work like that anymore, at least in competitive markets. And so with all that said, you're probably not converting if you've done this other stuff and you've done it at least better than your competition because you're not targeting the long tail searches where all the high conversion rates come from. But generally speaking, it's not one thing on this list that kills your conversion rates. It's probably a combination thereof. If you have the right traffic coming to your site and you have killer video and photo content, copywriting on your page, even though your price isn't that great, you'll still make it work. And even though your website isn't the best looking design, you'll still make it work. It's just the more of these you have done, the worse you're going to do. And there's a point in which your conversion rate isn't good enough where you're wasting your time. This isn't like we're throwing grenades here and as long as we get close, we're good. PPC is either you make money or you don't. And you got to know what your conversion rate is that you need to make money. And you got to be able to do the freaking work that it requires to get to a certain conversion rate that makes money. And nobody's going to care if you're whining and crying that you don't have any conversion rate high enough to make money on your ads if you haven't done this stuff, because this is what works. Or at least I'm going to say I'm not going to cry for you because this is the stuff that works. This is the stuff that pumps up your conversion rate. And the more of it you do, the better of it you do, the more the conversion rate goes up. So do everything on this list better than your competition. Pricing, finding a supplier where you can get the margins, for instance, also. You're going to be able to finally get your stuff to convert. And it's just not what people want to hear, I know, because it takes work to do all this stuff and or money to do it. They want to just, what's the button I have to click on my Google Ads account to make money? If you're not, at least for e-commerce especially, it's not the answer 98% of the time. It's, you're having to do with your website or, you can tweak the campaigns, but, you need to be setting up your campaigns with the right structuring, which ain't going to take 15 minutes or, 5 minutes to click one button and you're done in order to get things to work. You got to set up campaigns to target long tail keywords, and you have to target hundreds of keywords individually to do that with custom ad copy, aka the SKEG model of setting up campaigns. Then you can start to make money. And even with shopping ads, adding enough negative keywords so that your ads only show up for people looking for very specific searches to get that conversion rate up so you have the possibility of making money. With that said, that's e-commerce. Now, talking about non-e-commerce here, most common reason why people don't get their stuff to convert is because they're showing up for info or competitor terms. So unlike with e-commerce, it's actually flipped. The most common reason why their stuff's not converting is because their ad shows up for people typing in the competitors' keywords, John's Plumbing when you're Mark's Plumbing, or they're looking for, how do I unclog my toilet versus toilet unclogging plumber. And Google's done this because they want to make money. They get the poor little local business owner who's just trying to set up their ads the right way and that are too cheap or arrogant to hire somebody who's an expert running Google ads. They just set it up themselves thinking, I'm not going to pay nobody nothing. And then they end up having to spend 75% of their money that they're spending on Google ads on this junk traffic that doesn't convert, and they don't get anywhere. You got to weed all that out if your stuff's going to convert. And until you do, you're wasting your time, basically. That's the most common reason why non-e-commerce businesses, their stuff doesn't convert. You got to fix that up front. Then, once you've done that, if you're still not getting a conversion rate you need to make money, you look at your landing page. The landing page layout that you may have stinks. And if it does, that is stuff's not in the right order on the page in terms of the layout. You can forget about having a high conversion rate. What I mean by this is, go to my landing page portfolio on our website at Guaranteed PPC. The very first landing page that I have as a moving company, you can see the layout there. That layout works very well for a lot of different service companies that are doing lead generation. But you'll notice by looking at this page that even a 8-year-old kid can understand what they need to do on this page and feel confident about calling this moving company because it takes care of the 3 main things that everybody needs to know in order to be willing to call or fill out the form, which is, do you do it? You cover their area? Do they trust you? And it's all laid out in a way, logically speaking, that they're going to get all those 3 pieces of information they need and in the order they need it within a few seconds in order to call. And the quicker you convey those 3 things to the user and in the least confusing way, the more your conversion rate is going to be. Bottom line. So you could say, well, all my stuff's on the page. It says I'm a mover. It says I cover the area. If it's not laid out in the right way, it's not going to convert at the rate you want it to. It doesn't matter. The conversion rates don't care what your feelings are, basically. There's a certain pattern in layout to landing pages for your market that works, that give people what they expect and is the least confusing as possible. And if it doesn't convey what they need quickly and what they think is not confusing, not what you think, you're not going to get the conversion rate you want. So, and for that matter, there's an art. It's literally an art form to make a high converting landing page, to the point where out of every 10 guys who say they can do it, 1 actually can do it, 9 say they can do it, and they're going to take your money and scam you. You got to somehow find somebody that knows how to actually make a landing page, and you got to pay them what it takes to get the right layout. And if you don't, you're going to eternally struggle for that matter. And that's just the way that it is. And the people that how to do it, they charge a load of money. Why? Because there's more demand than supply, and they literally ship gold bars for their clients. If you could get a page to convert at 25% versus 4%, you're going to make another $1 million worth of profit over the next 10 years with this page. Why shouldn't they charge a few grand for that? Wanting to pay $500 because you want to see it work first is dumb, because how are they ever going to get their money out of their service that way? They'd be better off starting a company doing what you do and just cutting you out, and then just hiring their own people to do it or subcontract all the work out. There's no point in making landing pages that convert for somebody and make 50 grand a year doing it. They want to make 500 grand a year doing it. Otherwise, they're going to do your business, cut you out, and they're going to kick your ass in your market. So you've got to find somebody who actually knows what they're doing. Anybody who knows what they're doing ain't charging peanuts for it either, because of the value in it, and they know what it's worth. So there's that. Then there's 3, landing page logo design quality. So I talked about the landing page layout here. So the layout's more important than the design quality, but the quality of the design, if it's under a certain benchmark, you're still not going to get your stuff to convert. So like I talked about on the e-commerce side, if a person gets to the page and then right away the logo looks like it was done by a 5th grader, and the website, the design aesthetic quality of the landing page looks like it was made by somebody who has, is working up by himself out of his truck, you ain't going to get the shit to convert no matter how bad you want it to convert. You got to have it at a certain minimum level. And a lot of people struggle. Countless times I've had people reach out to me asking why their stuff doesn't convert. And I say, you need a better landing page. And they're like, what's wrong with my landing page? It's got everything it needs on there. And then I tell them, no, his page looks like shit, basically. I don't say it like that. They just don't want to believe it. They don't want to believe it. And then they never get anywhere because they're so close-minded about it. The reality is all they had to do is just fix that landing page and their stuff would convert all of a sudden magically. They don't want to believe it. Most people don't want to believe it, frankly, because they don't understand the nuance to it. And when you tell them, hey, you have to spend $3 grand for a landing page, otherwise your shit ain't going to convert, they don't want to believe you. They just want to find the button in their account that's going to fix their conversion rate and they're done. All I can tell you, sometimes you don't need a new landing page, but what you got to do is find somebody who damn well knows what a good landing page is and what's not, and ask them if you got a good enough landing page. Or even on top of that, if you've done the rest of the stuff on this list, you go make a better one anyway. You find somebody who's made hundreds of landing pages, not 1 or 2, or a designer who says they know how to make landing pages, but someone who specializes in it and has made hundreds of them and has a proven track record, and you pay them what it costs to make it, even if it damn well costs you 10 grand. Because a good landing page that will make it convert 3, 4, 5 times better than what you can do on your own, to make millions of dollars from this campaign long term. So why the hell would you not want to do it, even if it cost you 10K? 4, not enough testimonials or photos. Ultimately, a lot of times at our firm, I tell clients, landing pages with video testimonials on it convert a lot better, at least double digits better. But they say, I'll try to get a video for my customers, and then they just never do it. Video testimonials work because it's hard, if not impossible, to fake those. Textual testimonials, anybody can fake those. Just write some there and you're done. And people are not above it, so they're basically almost worthless. They're better than nothing, but not worth nearly as much as a video testimonial. Which all you got to do to ask for a video testimonial is ask your customers, call them up. Hey, how was your order? Great. Okay. Would you be willing to send, since you liked it, spend 2 minutes answering these 3 questions that I'm going to send you by email on your video camera on your phone, and then just send it to me. We'd really, really appreciate it. You collect 4 or 5 of those, you put it on your landing page. It's going to convert significantly better once it's on there because it looks genuine, it looks real. Okay? You add photos. If you're in a market where your product or service is visual that you're installing, cabinets, a kitchen remodeling, new roofs, you put your beautiful after photos and ideally before and after photos, so people can see, oh wow, that was what you made it turn into is amazing. And that will help your conversion rate immensely. And if you're in a market where people are going to want to see what your stuff looks like and you don't have 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 jobs on there to look at, That's why your conversion rate sucks. Okay. And for that matter, one thing I will say along with it that I didn't put on this list, but I should also mention, putting yourself out there matters a lot. If you're an accountant, people want to see what you look like. If you're a HVAC company, you do AC repair, they want to see what your truck looks like. They want to see what you look like. They want to see what your staff looks like. They want to see what your equipment looks like. Putting all that stuff on your landing page will also immensely help your conversion rates to go along with it. So along with the video testimonials and the photos of your work, show all this of what your company looks like, assuming it looks decent. It doesn't look like some beat old messed up pickup with no logo on it. Yeah, don't show that, obviously. They don't trust anything anymore, and they know somebody who's willing to put themselves out there deserves more trust than the guy who won't. So that's something else to put not on the top of your page, but on the more towards the bottom of your landing page. It will certainly help your conversion rates as well. Before and afters, and then like what we're, about us, have a talking style video of the owner talking about how much he values his customers. When they get past the top part of the page, it's because, and look, below that, it's because they don't trust the company for sure yet. And that's how you get them to trust you basically every time. You hit them with tons of testimonials. You hit them with all the information about your company, your trucks, all that, and then they're sold. Which, half of the people are not going to scroll anywhere on the page, to be fair about it. The other half, you can get most of them by doing that stuff. And until you've done it, you can't complain about your conversion rates. And then finally, the last one on this list to mention that's the least common reason why stuff doesn't convert on your Google Ads campaign is not enough reviews or ratings on your landing pages, time in business, BBB ratings, and the like. So basically, where's your company rank with third parties that evaluate companies like yours? You'll notice, going back to the landing page layout I mentioned that's on our website under the landing page portfolio, the moving company, you'll notice that the very first thing we do, what they call above the fold or without scrolling down the page at all on the landing page, so what they see by default without scrolling, we squeeze in there our Google reviews, our Facebook reviews, our Yelp reviews. Why? Because what we say about ourselves is 25% as powerful as what somebody else says about us. And people know these organizations. They have trust already, and they understand what the rating means at these organizations. So why are you hiding it? Be putting that right up front on the page, and I can tell you from experience, it's the number one way to convey trust out of anything else, because people know what a 4.7 rating on Google is, and they know what a 4.2 rating on Yelp is. And so you put it up front, and when you have it there, and when someone clicks on it, and they can quickly verify you got that 4.2 rating in reality on Yelp site, you're going to convert at a lot higher rate. But in a lot of situations, a lot of you guys starting out in business, you don't have any reviews to speak of on these sites. Or maybe you screwed up a few times. Everybody screws up. It happens. But your rating is a 3.0 on Google, and so you don't have it on your landing page. I can tell you for a fact, it's going to hurt your conversion rates a lot. And you got to do what you have to do, whatever it takes, which if you don't know, you can always leave me a comment below and I can tell you what to do to fix it. You got to get that back up to at least over a 4, because so many people are going to want to see that before they're willing to call or close. But we're talking about conversion rates here, so we're talking about call. And so you got to have your review ratings up. You got to do enough business to get those. And if you don't have enough review ratings, you tell your salespeople that you'll pay them $100 a review for every review you get, and you'll start damn well getting them in a hurry. If you haven't been in business very long, that can also hurt your conversion rates. People don't want to see you just started up in business last year. They don't trust that. They want to see at least you've been in business at least 5, if not 10 plus years already. So if you've been in business all that time, you damn well need to be telling that to them above the fold as well before they scroll on the page. My favorite place to put that time in business is between the phone number on the right-hand side, upper right-hand side, and the logo, which is in the upper left-hand side. So right in the middle, you have time in business. In business since 2009. Conveys trust right away. Everybody knows what that is. That's going to be what helps you get the conversion rate you need. And then BBB A+ rating. People still put a lot of trust and faith in the BBB, despite how rigged it is. The consumer doesn't know that or think that. So pay for the BBB rating, even though I can understand a lot of times people don't want to do it because it opens up an opportunity for your customers to leave bad reviews on the BBB's website. Don't be worried about that, because the power of getting the A+ BBB rating and putting the logo on your landing page will make up for it 50 times over. Because once it's on there, and people see it, they'll say, oh, they're BBB rated. I can trust them now. It makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside that I see this, that they're A+ BBB rated. And it really does help the conversion rate. Easily 10-20% higher conversion rates when you do that. But when you combine adding in your review score at all the places you got reviewed at, and you added the time of the business and the BBB, we're talking about doubling the conversion rates here. Literally doubling it. You can go from a 7 to a 14% conversion rate, or 14 to 28 just from that one factor alone. I put it lower on down the list here because most people, they know this stuff what I'm telling you here already. But if for some reason that you didn't know this, or you can't do it because you haven't been around long enough, you do what you can to get as many reviews as you can, as fast as you can, so you can damn well get it on the page, and so you can have your Google ads convert. It's like chicken and an egg. Oh, I can't convert because I don't have any customers. I don't have any customers, so I can't get any reviews. But that's when you have to just man up, pull up your panties, and pay big money to get the reviews, or do what you got to do. If you have to tell customers you'll give them a 20% discount for a review to get the first 50 or 100 reviews, because that's kind of like the threshold where people are going to really trust you, then you damn well do it, because it matters. I told you how much it matters in terms of your conversion rate. So you don't have a choice. Or you could sit here and struggle and do it, over 10 years, get those reviews and waste 10 years of your life. That's up to you. But anyway, with that said, for non-e-commerce businesses, those are the 5 most common reasons why Google Ads doesn't convert itself. If you're adding in display campaigns, the big thing with that is you're going to have too many bot clicks. You could also say your stuff doesn't convert on lead generation campaigns because of click fraud as well. I did not have that on the list. That honestly should be on the list as well. If you have an issue with click fraud, or don't know you have an issue with click fraud, you can let me know and I can tell you not only if you have it, but how to fix it. But if you're talking about YouTube campaigns, it's the same thing. Bot clicks, fraud clicks, that's the biggest reason why your stuff doesn't convert, other than you have a shitty video that has a shitty script and you have no offer. You're just saying, oh, we are a roofing company. Come get your roof with us. You got to actually say something that's going to help them, like you're going to offer 25% off any roof this month, or whatever you need to do to have a reason for them to say, I'm going to do this right now. I'm not going to delay. In order to get it to convert, that's what you do there. Demand gen ads, same thing. So I mentioned that I would also talk about those as well, the different campaign types that you can also do in Google Ads. That's the main thing there I would also mention to you. Shopping ads, everything I mentioned applies to search ads and shopping ads. So I covered those as well. If you're not sure what to do, you can always reach out to me at my firm at guaranteedppc.com and do a 30-minute coaching session with me. Narrow this down even quicker. You can go through the list starting from the top, like I mentioned you could do, or you can just let me know, and within 30 minutes and after asking you 5-10 questions, I'll be able to find out 99% sure what your bottleneck is, and you can get it fixed and move on with life. The more time you waste, a lot of people don't realize, but like once your campaigns are working, you're making 50 grand a month down the road year 5. If you would have had that happen 3 months sooner because you hired somebody who knows what they're doing to tell you what to fix right away, you basically would have saved yourself 150 grand later on, if you get what I'm saying. Like ultimately, people don't understand the loss of opportunity. Paying a consultant a lot up front when you're not making a lot sounds like a bad deal until you realize what it's stopping you from having 3 months of revenue later on that you're not going to get because you were too cheap or too lazy or whatever to hire a consultant to tell you which one of these things you're violating up front so you can get it fixed already. So you're better off just a lot of times just asking an expert. But if you just don't have that much revenue in your company yet and you're just starting out, you got to do what you got to do. You got to be able to fix this stuff yourself. And if you can't afford to do this stuff, my honest opinion is find a different business to get into that's not as competitive, because you won't need nearly as much stuff. Yes, you won't be able to make as much on the top end, but you could make money and then get into the business you want to get into later that has more potential when you got money to feed setting up your website and your landing pages and everything else that you can actually compete. A lot of guys are in niches that are too big for their britches, and they're competing against the guys who spent millions of dollars setting up their website and everything else, and you're not going to win in that situation when you've got $5 grand to invest into a website up front. Sorry, that's how it works. Most of the time, that's the way that it works. So, but also our specialty at our firm is to do PPC for our clients. That is, we set up their ads, the landing pages, consult on the landing pages, consult on the website, set up the tracking, set up the retargeting campaigns, and we get you the results, and we don't charge unless we get you a lift in profitability, as I mentioned at the start of this video. So if you want that, you can also reach out to me at Guaranteed PPC. And as long as you got more revenue than time to get the stuff done and you want it done quickly, you can hire us to do it and we'll do it for you. So you can reach out to me at guaranteedppc.com if you're interested in that. We also sell templates. If we've already worked in a niche market already, you could literally buy from us the winning ads, landing pages, campaign templates that work for your niche market already. And then you can literally copy paste that into your account and get the same results we are or have already got in your niche market in a different city or different country. Talking about the printer toner market, I mean, literally you could start a business taking our printer toner template, put it into Google Ads, run it in a country that our client is not operating in, and have a turnkey business, because most of that business making it work is figuring out the ad campaign that'll make it work. Anybody can go get that printer toner from China, anybody. So, but that also shows the potential of the template. If we are already worked in your market already, you'd be silly not to at least find out what results we got in your niche market already, because at least know what you're standing to lose by not using our template and just buying that instead of trying to figure out all this same stuff that we had to figure out over years, but what doesn't work in that market, and just bypass all that learning for yourself. So if you're interested in that, you can also reach out to me at guaranteedppc.com. Beyond that, I did cover here lots of details, and to know how to do each one of these components really well, you're certainly going to have to watch our other videos on this channel where I talk over and go over in detail on landing page design and how to fix click fraud and all the rest of it. And so if you haven't subscribed to this channel, you should, because the information I'm giving you here comes from somebody with 20 years of advertising experience, 10 of which I just did at our advertising agency here, where I've worked with hundreds of clients, and I explicitly describe the stuff that works versus doesn't work on this channel in detail. And I spend 40 hours a week, our clients' campaigns, doing the strategy to find out what works. And I share what works and doesn't work on the weekends of what I find out in my day job. So you're getting information straight from the source in that regard, which you're not going to get with other channels mostly. Therefore, you should subscribe to this channel if you're serious about making money with ads. You should also check out my blog while you're at it. You can find that at guaranteedppc.com/blog. And the blog has not only the strategies we're using to guarantee results for our clients at our firm, but the screenshots, prove those results, and the step-by-step instructions along with it. So if you like the channel, you should definitely check the blog out as well. Going along with this, some of the stuff may be harder than others, but the stuff that's the most likely to screw you up is on the top. And like I said, and the second most thing that was most likely to screw you up is the second on the list, because I've seen that the most with people that have reached out to our firm in the past. If you want to find out which one of these things are your biggest bottleneck, then you could leave me a comment in the comment section. I can get back to you about that. You could fix things sooner if you're willing and brave enough to drop a link to your website and or let us know, what your numbers from your campaigns are and that kind of thing. So I'll wrap it up with that though. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
Remember when I said Google AD's campaign was important during this video? Well, this video here tells you how to do it.